Turns out that Amazon spent $14 million on anti-union consultants in just a single year, in 2022 alone. Now, this is according to their latest financial filing, and it gives you a sense of just how terrified they are of organized labor. Now, that mind-blowing number, 14 million, is a small piece of the Amazon pie. We know that this is a company that brings in billions of dollars every year. But while 14 million might not seem like it's much for Amazon, you have to think about this in the context of what is considered the norm when it comes to corporate spending on union busting consultants, okay? So to understand that, let's get to the context, let's get to the details. So Dave Jamieson from HuffPost reported on this and says that companies rarely spend more than 1 million, just 1 million, on union busting consultants. But in 2021, Amazon started increasing their spending. Gee, I wonder why. All of a sudden you have warehouses trying to organize their workplace. And so Amazon that year in 2021 spent 4.3 million on anti-union consultants, which was already a huge increase from the norm. But the 14.3 million obviously is an even more drastic escalation. According to Amazon's filings, the company paid their consultants around $3,000 a day last year. A day, everyone. $3,000 in a single day. If you worked for $3,000 a day, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, you'd make $6 million in a single year, okay? If you got paid $3,000 for an 8-hour day, you'd make $375 an hour. So just wanted to give you a sense of how much these union busting consultants get paid. Now, Amazon is just, one cog in the machine. According to the Economic Policy Institute, American employers spent over $430 million, or spend $430 million a year on anti-union consultants, okay? There's a whole union busting industrial complex here. Now, if you're wondering why this massive industry exists, it's because unions get results for their workers. In fact, if you pay no attention to anything I say today, fine, but please pay attention to this because this is exactly why Amazon and Starbucks and all these other companies fight organizing workers so viciously. A new study published in Cornell University's Industrial and Labor Relations Review finds that workers who are in a union throughout their careers make $1.3 million more than workers who are never in a union. Union members typically make $3.37 million in lifetime earnings versus $2.08 million for non-union workers, an increase of over 60%. I'm just gonna pause so you can absorb that for a second. I mean, there's more. The wage increase comes despite the fact that unionized workers also retire earlier than their non-unionized counterparts, the study authors found. This is a remarkable increase in lifetime wages and represents a higher lifetime wage increase than that earned by workers with a college degree who earn between $650,000 and $900,000 more in their lifetimes, previous research has demonstrated. Big companies like Amazon, again, I want to reiterate, are willing to shell out tens of millions of dollars in a single year to bust unions because they want to keep the cost of labor as low as possible. Unions fight for higher wages. Employers don't want to pay higher wages. They want to provide a better return to their shareholders. That's their fiduciary responsibility, right? Now, let's pivot to a different component of this story that I think is super important. Now, there have been successful union drives at Amazon warehouses, namely the Amazon warehouse known as JFK 8 in New York. They won their union election just over a year ago. But here's the problem. Amazon is stalling. They are refusing to negotiate a union contract. And that stalling is causing some infighting among union members and union leadership. It's actually really frustrating. And I just don't want them to fight. I don't want them to fracture, because I think that is a bug that could destroy their efforts to actually get a union contract. So let me give you the details. So the New York Times reported that in interviews, a dozen people who have been closely involved with the Amazon labor union said the union had made little progress in bringing Amazon to the bargaining table, to say nothing of securing a contract. Many cited lopsided losses at 2 other warehouses, unstable funding, and an internal feud that has made it difficult for the union to alter a strategy that they considered flawed. Now, some ALU workers, or union members, I should say, are frustrated with their leader, Chris Smalls, who has flown around the country after the ALU's victory to encourage other workplaces to unionize. Now, instead, the JFK 8 workers are basically saying Chris Smalls should stop doing this traveling and focus his efforts on a potential strike that they could do in order to get Amazon to negotiate a contract in good faith. So Tristan Martinez, who's a JFK 8 employee and union organizer, said this: "We're talking to workers, having one-on-ones, growing our power in the building. That's where it matters. Chris flying all over the world is not going to make us get a contract any sooner." Now, Chris Smalls rejects that statement and has stated that the strike would be unproductive because workers would be scared and concerned about losing their income. And I do think that that is a legitimate concern that Smalls is bringing up, because Smalls, they need a strike fund to make sure that the workers, who are putting their livelihood on the line to do this strike, are made whole during the strike. And I think that is a good point. But Chris Smalls has also said that his traveling is important for getting donations for the ALU, which does not have a consistent source of funding at the moment. Another good point by Smalls. I will admit, though, there are some areas where Smalls should be more conciliatory with his rhetoric, because you don't want the infighting to destroy this incredibly important effort to get a union contract. Smalls called the revolt by his former allies an attempted coup and emphasized that many of the dissidents are white, while the union leadership is largely black, as are many workers. At a tense union meeting in December, Smalls told longtime organizers that they should step aside if they couldn't get along with him or those loyal to him. Quote, "You got a problem with me? Deuces," he said. The two factions have been operating independently since the meeting. And guys, that is a disaster, okay? I'm not gonna sit here and make a judgment call on who's right, who's wrong, because fact of the matter is they need to work together. And more importantly, whatever internal disagreements you guys have or struggles you might have, please try to work it out internally, okay? Don't do what the left loves to do. And I'm not saying these union members are all on the left. I'm just giving you an example of what I see on the left, which destroys any effort to get anything accomplished. They love infighting. And more importantly, literal friends, instead of talking to each other privately about their disagreements, will put out content condemning their friend for having a take they don't agree with. It's ridiculous, it's counterproductive, I hate it, and I don't want that to happen in this incredibly important context where you have a massive corporation, a warehouse within that massive corporation unionizing and trying to get a union contract. I hear what both sides are saying in this case. I want them to work it out. I just want them to do it in a way that doesn't destroy this incredibly important objective, getting a union contract. And the fracturing and infighting will destroy that, I guarantee it. So that's where we are with the Amazon union story. I'm sure Amazon is delighted in hearing about the infighting currently happening at JFK 8, and that makes me sick to my stomach. But the union, for their part, has already filed numerous complaints with the NLRB over Amazon's unwillingness to negotiate a contract in good faith. Hopefully the NLRB comes through. But the other side of this is Amazon is claiming all sorts of nonsense about how the union vote should be disqualified because of whatever reason they're bringing up that doesn't make any sense to me. So they're trying to fight this through the courts. I don't really think they have a case, but time is of the essence. The NLRB under the Biden administration is pretty good, and hopefully they step in and do something soon.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.